Hi everyone, my name is Mathieu Chasson, and today I want to try a video to expand on the short videos I've been making on editing. The before and after, if you haven't seen them, you can go on my channel and look at them. I post one every day or so, every day of the week. Every Saturday I post a summary where you can vote on your favorite one, and Sunday I take a break and then I start again on Monday. So they're short 1-minute videos that goes through all my editing for one image. It goes quickly, it's under a minute. So today I'm just gonna go and explain a little bit more in detail what I'm doing in these videos, and about the editing, the choices, and the adjustments that I make. So let's go to the computer. Okay, so I decided to take this one, which I've published a while ago, a few weeks ago. I love it. It's a nice sunset over Shédiac Bay. Here you can see the before and after this edit. So let's remove this and go see how this is edited. First off, if you're using CaptureOne, you'll probably notice that you don't have a sun right there. This is a custom tab that I've made for recording these short videos so that everything that I use is in the same tab and that I don't have to move around from one tab to the other. I know that I'm gonna cut off this little portion here in the top left corner and use that in my videos, so I always scroll to this area for making my adjustment, so that it makes it way easier to put those videos together, and it's much quicker. So let's start with the base characteristic. I'm using Classic Chrome as my film simulation, Fujifilm. If you go, it's not very saturated. If you go to Astia, you get much more saturated, but I do like to start with Classic Chrome. Here, slight adjustment to the temperature. When you have sunsets, the camera is not gonna get the sunset as yellow as it is. It'll try to make a more even scene. So adding some warmth to the shot will always improve your sunset and sunrise, because you do have that golden glow at that time, so it's only natural to boost this. Then after that, exposure. So exposure, added some contrast. Contrast helps to bring the shadows darker and the brighter part brighter. So it creates a much more dynamic sky, usually with contrast, saturation. As I've said, Classic Chrome is very dull in itself. I love the toning of it, but often for sunsets and scenes where you want the colors brightened, I do increase saturation quite a bit. But note that if you're using something that's already has a lot of color, you might not have to do that. In this shot, I did not touch anything in the shadows and the blacks. I find I do have the contrast that I like here. I don't want details in the shadows, so that is good. Clarity is always a difficult choice for me. You can increase clarity. We'll do something similar to adding contrast. You see details come out. Decreasing it, make it blurry a little bit more, but not blurry overall, but there's a softness that's added to it. So when it comes to clouds, it's always sort of a debate. Do you want to go with the crisp clouds, or do you want to go with the more dreamy looking cloud? Actually, I think I prefer the dreamy one, so I'll just keep it like this. Vignette, no vignette in this one. Now color balance is something you'll see me do often in those short videos. What the color balance do is it adds toning to different brightness level of the image. So your shadows here. I've added some blue into the shadows and some orangish into the highlights, and mid-tone a lot more orange. So if we toggle that on and off, you can see that it does make a huge difference to this shot. The reason for this is usually shadows I go with a cooler tone, you know, there's not as much light, cooler tone, and it creates a good balance between warm and cold. It doesn't always work this way, but for an image like this it works really well. And here, this slider, you can darken or brighten the shadows, and this is the intensity of it. So you go with something subtle that doesn't show all that much, you can't really tell, but it's there. Same thing in mid-tone. This is pretty bright, but it adds a nice orangey glow to the shot. And the highlights, here I lowered the color of the highlights because the brightness of the highlights, because you'll see I've added some in a layer, a little later. And not too, it doesn't make too much of a difference. You could go even more here and still get a good shot. It's up to you. You play around with these settings and get the results that you want. There's no good or wrong here. And finally, I've added a elliptical filter, or what is it? I forgot the name. Radial gradient filter around the sun to add some brightness to it, to make it more glowy. This is okay. You can see the rays, which is cool. But often the sun, to add a glow around it. So all this is a little bit of exposure to make it brighter, and then a little bit more contrast so that it touches more the highlights. And I did a little bit brightness, which doesn't affect the highlights as much as the exposure. And that's it for this one. So I may have added some orange, I'm not sure. Sometimes I do add a little bit of warmth to the sun, just a little bit, just to see. And if you, in CaptureOne, if you think the effect is too much, you can play with the opacity here, so you can lower the overall adjustment that you've just made just a little bit, so you can lower it maybe 80% here. And now if we look at the before and after, we still have the same as before, but you can see the huge difference in color, tone, and the way this image comes out. As I say, this tonality comes from the classic chrome, doesn't have a lot of colors, but even if you start with Astia, you still wouldn't have. Let's go maybe to this image so that I can show you what the Astia would look like on the original one. There's not much of a difference. A little bit more tonality here, but still not as bright and clean as this one. So with that said, let's just have a look and look at the short itself. As you can see, warm the shot a little bit of tint, but that doesn't make huge difference. Contrast and saturation, as we've discussed. Clarity, I went up. I think I preferred going down, but then again, quickly adjusting to toning, the color balance of the shot. And finally, adding the glow to the sun. Before and after. Alright, so I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you like these more videos with more explanation. I'll definitely do more. And oh yeah, hopefully you enjoy. And if you have questions, comments, please leave them in the comments below. Until next time. Bye bye.